Okay, I'm going to walk you through the steps of deconstruction. This is a simplified form. This is the things that I basically want you to take away from the idea of deconstruction. And I'm going to deconstruct some aspects of the first episode you saw, Rose. On your test, you're asked to deconstruct the Wedding of River Song, turn left, and then one of your choice, I believe. So this is something similar that I want you to do. Remember that deconstruction helps us look at conflicting ideas or an idea that has two meanings, and we kind of tease them apart to see which one of the meanings holds true. And so first thing we have to do is figure out the meaning of the entire episode. What's the purpose of the episode? Then we need to look at some binary opposites within the episode. And I'm going to choose the Doctor and Rose to look at some binary opposites of them so we get an idea of who their true characters are. And then based on looking at the binary opposites and how they play, which one makes more sense than the other, which one leads us to a better understanding than the other, and that will give us our conclusion. So here we are going to deconstruct. First, what is the meaning of the episode Rose? First of all, it's an introduction to the characters. This is the first episode of the reboot. So for people who weren't fans of the classic episodes, they need to be introduced to the Doctor. Who is he? What is he? Why is he here? We also meet Rose, Jackie, and Mickey, who are going to be parts of the first season. We also get introduced to the format of the episode. There'll be some initial problem, there's an enemy, and then there's a resolution to it. And then we have the basic storyline of this episode, which is Rose meets the Doctor, mannequins come to life, the Doctor, with Rose's help, is able to defeat the nesting consciousness. I've really summarized it down to the bare minimums so that we can look at some of the binaries. And so the arrow will flush this into the center part, that we need to take this into account. Looking at some binary opposites of the Doctor, previously on paper I had written down some different things about the Doctor, and I'm going to show you two different ways of going about doing this. I do for Rose, just kind of writing down some ideas and then figure something from there. But when I was doing the Doctor, I came down to one thing that really struck me, was that this Doctor seemed pretty macho. And some of the reasons for that was the leather jacket, the grimaces, he's mostly angry, he's very independent. And so then I start doing the binary opposites of them, since the macho-ness of his character is something I can explore further. So the opposite of macho, in this case I put effeminate. The leather jacket that he wears, I also put it under effeminate because if we think of specifically the gay community, there is a large kind of leather community, so the leather jacket is a little bit ambiguous. So then that's something I could start pinpointing for its ambiguity. Does the leather jacket really show the Doctor as a very macho character, or does it show him as someone who is into kind of an S&M, lifestyle? And so you could then go on and explore that further and go deeper with it. Then for his grimaces, the opposite would be goofy gestures. He's mostly angry, although he's somewhat calm in a crisis. So those are the opposites, angry and calm. Independent, but he needs a companion. And so by looking at these opposites, we get a really good idea of what the Doctor is, that there are certain aspects of his character that are macho, certain aspects that are somewhat effeminate. But then the one thing that stood out under both of this was that leather jacket. And so if I were to write a paper about this, I would then get more in depth about the leather jacket and what its role is, what it symbolizes, etc. Another way of going about it is just simply listing some I can't think of the word right now, certain aspects of the character that pop up. So for Rose, I was just making a list of things. She's young, she's silly, she doesn't want to get involved. At the beginning, when she's checking out and leaving the department store, the guard says, "Oh, here's the lottery money." and she really doesn't want to take it and go do it, but she does it anyway. So she really seems to be standoffish, not get involved. Low class accent. She's in love with Mickey. So then I went through my binary. The opposite of young is old. We don't see Rose as very old, so young stays. Silly, and at times she's serious, but she trades back and forth between those. So that doesn't really turn out to be... It's still binary opposites, but both of those are part of her core character we see. Doesn't want to get involved, springs into action. She really kind of shifts into that. By the end of the episode, she is springing into action. She saves the doctor. So we kind of see a shift in that. And so here the binaries would just flip. We would then say that she's young, silly, springs into action, and doesn't want to get involved on the right-hand side. Low-class accent versus a high-class accent. She always has a low-class accent, and it becomes a running joke through the series. And she's in love with Mickey, but by the end of the episode, we also see her falling for the doctor. So again, like the leather jacket of the doctor, who is she in love with would lead us to a greater search for her characterization. And again, you could write a huge paper on it if you so choose. But really what we're looking at here is just the basic form of deconstruction. So we have for the doctor some of the macho versus effeminate, Rose, some of her characteristics. And then when we deconstruct it, it leads us to the result that the doctor is a macho character meant to show internal rage. There's nothing else really that leads us to believe that his wearing the leather jacket is meant for leather lifestyle or sexual gratification. It's meant to show his internal rage. To temper his anger, he travels with a companion. So the independent versus traveling with a companion, we see how this ties together, that he takes part of the effeminate, part of the masculine, and we end up with the macho character who has a lot of internal rage. Rose is in love with Mickey but starts falling for the doctor. This also changes her personality to emulate him. So she goes from the beginning not wanting to get involved to action, like the doctor does. She is introduced as a person who doesn't like to get involved, but by the end of the episode, she is the one who steps in and saves the doctor. So by us deconstructing them, we get a chance to see exactly how her personality changes to match up with the doctor's. And once we've decided that the doctor has more of the macho stand than anything else, we see her wanting to stand up and emulate the doctor in much of the same way, and then we also get her falling for him. So you can go back and look at this power Prezi several times if you want, just to see how I pulled different elements together to make this result, because this is what I would ask you to do for the test. Take the Wedding of River Song. You can either take a plot element and do the binary opposites. You could take a character and show the binary opposites. But you want to show how we get to a better understanding of the episode based on how we deconstruct these individual characteristics by using their binary opposite.